right, guys, with the results of the Antichrist, Trump winning the election and the election results, we thought we would do a video and show you some amazing, deep concepts. Guys, I encourage you to get the notes in this video. Many of you will not be really familiar with the things that we're talking about. We're going to explain it to you very early in the video and then repeat it several times, okay? So when we see the son of perdition in Revelation 17, he's called the scarlet colored beast. As a beast, we don't really know what type of creature that is. But what we're going to see in this study, that we're going to look at him, that creature, as Behemoth. Now, Behemoth is basically a dinosaur. He's a brontosaurus type dinosaur. You can read about him, and I encourage you to read the latter section of Job chapter 40. It talks about this kind of brontosaurus type creature very clearly. And what we're going to suggest, guys, is that the scarlet colored beast, it says that the beast ascended from the abyss. Okay, he ascended from the abyss. And what we're going to do in this study is we're going to see that the beast is going to relate to one of the fallen angels. Okay, in Genesis 6, we could see that the sons of Elohim, the sons of Yah, went into the daughters of women in Genesis 6, and they produced the Nephilim. Now, the account there is more detailed in the book of Enoch. And in the book of Enoch, we see a couple key figures of these fallen angels. One of them is called Samanja, and he led 200 of these angels to do this. Another one is called Azazel. Okay, now guys, when the Most High is detaining these angels, they're in a human-like form. But we also know that when they are fallen, they take on a different form. Okay, and so when they take on a different form, they take on a beast type creature. Okay, we're going to look at two of them. This is going to be part one, and we're going to have a part two on the other beast. Okay, now what we're suggesting, and what we're going to tell you, is that when the angel was detained from that time, a time of Enoch and the Watchers, and we know at that time was the time of Jared. Okay, at this time, they were incarcerated, okay, until the end of days. They're incarcerated for 5,000 years. We're going to see all this in the study. At the end of 5,000 years, it's the day of judgment, and they're released. And so when they're released, okay, these angels that sin, they are released in the end of days, and the book of Revelation tells us about them. The scarlet colored beast is going to be Azazel. And we're going to see Azazel, okay, when he goes, he is the beast that he is likened unto is Behemoth, okay? So that the Antichrist is filled with the spirit, guys. That spirit comes from a place called the abyss or Tartarus. It's a place in the underworld. It's a place in the wilderness. We're going to see. He's held there, and then he's released in the end of days. There's two of these beasts like this. One's called Behemoth. One's called Leviathan. We're going to talk about Leviathan in part 2. Okay, in this one, we're going to see that beast, that of the scarlet colored beast that ascended from the bottomless pit or from the abyss, that we see that in Revelation, we'll see that Revelation is using language and themes of the fallen angels in the book of Enoch. Okay, now we got notes on this. I'll make the notes available and a link in the description field, guys. It's going to be deep for you. But you'll clearly see that as we go through that's what Revelation is talking about. Okay, and so let's get into it. Okay, as you can see, we got the thumbnail on the video up on the screen. And basically within the thumbnail, we just want to talk about what's going on. Okay, we know the Antichrist, son of perdition, is the scarlet colored beast. And it talks about the beast that ascends from the bottomless pit, or in Greek, abyss, or abyssos. So what that means is that there's a spirit that's detained in prison somewhere. He's taken out, and he fills the person. And that's what we're saying. We realize some of you may be still worshiping the Antichrist, Trump, but Trump is the Antichrist. And so for those that, are aware of this, you know that you're in the end times, okay. But you can see the behavior of the people whose names are not written on the Lamb's Book of Life. They wonder at the beast, and that's what's taking place. So, who is this spirit? That's what we're looking at in this video. Okay, and we're going to attribute that spirit to the angel with the name Azazel in the time of Enoch, and the beast that this Azazel turns into is Behemoth. Okay, so that within this graphic, in the thumbnail of the video, we have Azazel, who is the spirit. Okay, he comes out as a beast, which is Behemoth, and he fills the Antichrist, who is Trump. Okay? All right, so let's get into it. And we're going to read everything, and so we're working through it, guys, and we'll make these notes available to you, because we realize for many of you this is very deep. Scarlet color beast descends from the abyssos. Here we look at the beast that possesses the son of perdition, the scarlet color beast that comes out of the abyss, which in Greek we call abyssos. Revelation 11:7. When the two witnesses have finished their testimony, the beast that ascends from the bottomless pit, or abyssos, shall make war against them. Who? The two witnesses. And shall overcome them and shall kill them. All right, so this is what we're waiting for the Antichrist to do. More details of this beast coming out of the abyssos is also in Revelation 17:7. The scarlet, or in Greek, kokinos beast that carried her, that is Mystery Babylon, has 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast which you saw was, is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, the abyssos, and go into perdition. They that dwell upon the earth shall wonder, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. Okay, and that is basically what we are seeing with the results. So, who exactly is this beast? Who is this? Who is the beast? Okay, why does he come from the abyssos, or why does he come out of the bottomless pit? How did he get there? Where does he come from? These are angels, guys. Angels are eternal beings. They're put in places for a reason. The simple mind will basically think that the bottomless pit is just a bad place called hell. But when we look at eternal beings, one must ask the question, what is going on here? He must be coming out of prison, out of the abyss for a reason. For example, it's not in the notes, but we can see the devil goes into the abyss for 1,000 years. And then the angel an angel has a key, and he opens the abyss, and the devil comes out, and there's the Gog-Magog war at the end of the millennium. So what is the reason the devil is put into the abyss? Well, he's jailed up so that there's no war and there's no devil in the time of the millennium. But the people have not all accepted Christ as their Savior. They're not all saved. And so he's released to do a second, or he's the fulfillment of the Gog-Magog war, when the devil comes out, and those people that are still sinners will go and die in the judgment of another Armageddon-like scene. When that judgment takes place, then we get the white throne judgment again, and we go into New Jerusalem. Okay, so that's just an example of how the entity goes into the abyss and it comes out. The beast is killed. Now we're going to look at how the Antichrist is killed. I mean, again, some people don't even know this. But the point of this study is to look at these deep things and ask these questions and see what the scriptures say. This is all scriptures. Okay? It's just all scriptures. Your problem's with the scriptures, not me, man. Let's look at how this beast is killed. 2 Thessalonians 2:8. The wicked, or lawless one, be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness, or the epiphania, of his coming. This is the coming of when Christ is coming, the parousia. Even him whose working is after the working of Satan, being the wicked and lawless one. Of all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness and unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Okay, so the people are worshiping the Antichrist. So Paul is using language here to consume with the spirit of his mouth, and this applies Christ at Armageddon, when out of his mouth goes a sharp two-edged sword, and that afterwards that beast being cast into the lake of fire. Revelation 19:20, the beast was taken, which had deceived them which received the mark of the beast. And he was cast into the lake of fire burning with brimstone. And the others were slain with the sword of him that sat upon the horse. This is Christ on the white horse. Which sword proceeded out of his mouth. Okay, so that's the language Apostle Paul is using of how the Antichrist is killed. He is referring to Revelation 19. Daniel 7:11 agrees with this. As I looked, the beast was killed and his body destroyed and given to be burned with fire. It's the little horn that Daniel's talking about, right? Daniel 7:11. Lastly, in the book of Esther, Haman is described as the devil, Diabolos, a type of the son of perdition, and he is hung in the gallows he made for Mordecai. He's killed. So, yes, the Antichrist is killed, and these are all the examples, 2 Thessalonians, Revelation 20, Daniel 7, and the book of Esther. Now, he's bound in the abyss for 5 millennia. Oh, well, how do we know this? Now, what we realize is that the book of Revelation is drawing on the themes found in the book of Enoch. Okay, so in order to understand this, we understand what happened in Genesis 6, but we are referring to the book of Enoch because 2 Peter is talking about the book of Enoch, Jude is talking about the book of Enoch in the last days, and that these angels are bound until the judgment of the last days. Okay, that said, the beast that is coming from, or that ascends from the abyss that we saw, relates to the watcher angels that rebelled. There's 2 main ones, Semanja and Azazel, detailed in the first book of Enoch. And we see that Semanja, he is bound for 70 generations. 1 Enoch 10, verse 12. The Lord said to Michael, the archangel, go bind Semanja and his 200 associates which have united themselves with women so as to have defiled themselves. Bind them fast for 70 generations in the valley of the earth until the day of their judgment and of their consummation, until that judgment is forever and ever and is consumed. In those days they shall be led off into the abyss of fire, or the lake of fire. Okay, so they're bound into their judgment. We get their judgment, and after their judgment, they go into the lake of fire. That's Semanja. 70 generations. Okay, so he's in prison. Remember how we talked about the devil? He was in prison for 1,000 years. He didn't go into the lake of fire. He was bound 1,000 years, and then he's released. That's like Semanja here. Thus, he's imprisoned until the day of judgment, or the events of Revelation take place, which tell us the details. Revelation tells us details of the day of judgment. And after which he is thrown into the lake of fire, as we've seen before at Revelation 19:20. Now, with the view that there are 70 years in a generation, if we take that as an approach, we could see that in, I think it's Psalm 90, 70 generations times 70 years in a generation would be 4,900 years. 4,900 years. Now, we don't know exactly when this was, but the year Enoch was translated, we do know. And since Adam, we count Adam and we count the years from Adam, Enoch is translated in year 987. Okay, so if we add 490 years, we get 5,887. Okay, and we don't know exactly, but in a general sense, we can see that the angel is going to be released. We take 1,000 years till Enoch, and then 490, we just round that to 5,000. That from the time of creation and the time of Adam, the day of the judgment would be 6 millennia from Adam, from creation. Okay? So that's how we can see that they are bound up until the day of judgment. And we're in that time. Okay. Now, Azazel. Okay, so what first Enoch does is that was Samanja. We just seen Samanja, and Azazel is another one of these angels. And this is what it says. Azazel taught men to make swords, knives, and shields and breastplates. Okay, so basically, guys, up until this point of mankind, there was no war. There was no war. There was no war and fighting. And so these fallen angels, when they come with women, they begin to teach men certain things. Azazel teaches them how to go to war. And they give all these breastplates, and then we know that these Nephilim, they start going to war and killing people, and things get real bad, right? But let's look at also what he does. So he shows how to make all the weapons. Okay, he made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them. Then it says something strange. And bracelets and ornaments, the use of antimony or makeup, the beautifying of the eyelids, all kinds of costly stones, and all coloring tinctures. Now, tinctures, what's that? It's kind of like dyeing or staining, making colors. So, for example, a sheep is not purple, right? It's not red. The sheep is not that color. But in the ancient times, they would have dyes, and they would dye the clothing different colors. Okay, that's what it's talking about. Well, this is amazing. Okay, because remember, the Mystery Babylon, the woman, she is riding the scarlet colored beast. And all the things that Azazel taught mankind to do, okay, bracelets, ornaments, makeup, beautifying the eyelids, costly stones, making dyes in different colors. We see Mystery Babylon, Revelation 17:3. In the wilderness, I saw the woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of the names of blasphemy. And the woman was arrayed with purple and scarlet. Well, those are dyes. You have to dye those different colors. Scarlet color. Decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. Exactly taught by Azazel. So what we're saying, guys, is Azazel is that scarlet-colored beast because the woman is riding that beast. And Azazel taught the very things that the woman is doing. Amazing. All right. We know Trump. Now this relates to Trump. Trump is the antichrist. Trump is filled with this spirit. And we know Trump is obsessed with beauty pageants. Ever wonder why? It goes back to Azazel. And relates directly to the influencing spirit that is influencing Trump called Azazel in the time of Enoch. And what's the results of young women with tight clothes, jewelry, and makeup? Fornication. Okay, same thing as before the flood. Christ said it will be in the days of Noah. They'll be marrying, giving in marriage, okay? And that's also before the flood. It was full of fornication. And this is what it says about what happened as a result. You see what Azazel has done, who has taught all unrighteousness on the earth and revealed the eternal secrets preserved in heaven, which men were striving to learn. And the whole earth has been corrupted through the works taught by Azazel. And to him ascribe all sin. Azazel. Okay? Now, then we seen about Samanja earlier. Then we see that this Azazel, he's also, they bind him. And the Lord said to Raphael, isn't it interesting? We got a tropical storm named Raphael. Bind Azazel hand and foot and cast him into darkness and make an opening in the desert, which is in Dudiel, and cast him in there. Okay, cast him in the desert. Place upon him rough and jagged stones and cover him with darkness. Let him abide there forever and cover his face that he might not see the light. And on the day of the great judgment he shall be cast in the lake of fire. All right, he's prison. He's incarcerated, guys. This is not the devil. The devil has been not locked up like this. These guys are the fallen angels at the time of Genesis 6. They've been locked up till the end of days. 70 generations. Now, we can see that when it's talking about Azazel here, we can see that this place is also related to Behemoth. To paraphrase, he's placed in Dudiel, similar to Dudane, which we'll see as a cavern in the desert, and then there's a lid placed on it. A lid covering with rough and jagged stone. So he's held there, okay, in that prison, in that place, until the apocalypse. Now, this Azazel, it's important to note that there's two goats on the Day of Atonement, right? Most of you know the term scapegoat. All right, you read it in English, it says scapegoat. What you don't know is that if you look at the Hebrew, that word is Azazel. So on the Day of Atonement, there were two goats. And what happened is he told Aaron, take two goats and present them before Yahweh. Cast lots upon the two goats. One lot will be for Yahweh, and he's sacrificed. Okay? And the other lot is for scapegoat. In Hebrew, that is Azazel. Okay? And so we know that Christ was our sacrifice. You know? But then we got this other goat. He is not killed. He is sent into the wilderness. Now, this lot and what's happening on this goat is Azazel, guys. This is the mark of the beast. Because it says of this beast, Revelation 19:20, and the beast which deceived them. He deceived them that received the mark of the beast. They were deceived. Now, we got a whole video on this. If you get the notes, you can click on it or you can look it up. We've been, this isn't new. We've been teaching this many, many years. Okay, Behemoth and Leviathan. Now, you can see Behemoth here is kind of like this type of dinosaur, like a brontosaurus. That's what we have a picture there that you could just see. And he's scarlet colored, and I, was looking for an example of, we don't know what color the dinosaurs were. Well, imagine that if the the brontosaurus was red. Now, interesting enough, Enoch describes the two angels that we talked about, but he also describes two beasts. One is called Behemoth, other is called Leviathan. And so that's what we're concluding, guys, saying that those angels, when they fell, they turned into beast-like creatures, okay? And that's what we see them. We see them coming out of the sea. We see them coming out of the earth, out of the abyssos, okay? Now, this passage details Behemoth being detained in Dudan, the similar name of the place as Azazel that we've seen, and a Leviathan in the abyss and the depths of the waters. And, so like in Revelation, we see a beast rise from the sea, another from the earth. Okay, 1 Enoch 6, chapter 60, verse 6, on that day, two great monsters were separated. A female monster called Leviathan that dwelled in the depths of the ocean. A male named Behemoth, with his check, occupies the desolate wilderness named Dudan, east of the garden, where he is the chosen and righteous dwell, where my grandfather was taken up, the seventh of Adam, the first man who the Lord's spirits had created. And I pled with the other angel to show me the power of these monsters and how they were separated one day and thrown into the depths of the sea and into the dry land of the wilderness. Okay, so what happened? We've seen those two angels, Semanja and Azazel. They were detained. And then we see two beasts, and they are also detained. They are also put into the abyss. Now, Behemoth, okay, when we look at Job, and we read the Job in the Septuagint, he goes to a place called Tartarus. And 2 Peter talks about this. He uses this word Tartarus of the fallen angels, alluding to the book of Enoch. Uriel, one of the holy angels, was over Tartarus. Remember how we talked about there was an angel over the bottomless pit that chained the devil up 1,000 years? Well, this is something similar, okay, which we can see with Uriel, the archangel, and 2 Peter 2:4, if God spare not the angels that sin, but cast them down into Tartarus. Cast them in charge. Deliver them into chains of darkness to be preserved in the judgment. Okay, Peter's talking about the same thing. He's talking about the same thing as detailed in the book of Enoch. Tartarus, okay, is used in Job 40 when we're talking about Behemoth. Remember how we saw those two creatures? We've seen Behemoth and Leviathan. Well, Behemoth is listed only once in the Hebrew Old Testament. Behemoth is Job chapter 40. And in Job chapter 40, it alludes to Tartarus. Job 40:15. Behold now Behemoth. And coming unto a chiseled mountain, he produces a cause for joy to the four-footed in the infernal region. Infernal region here is Tartarus. Tartarus. So this Behemoth is in this Tartarus. Job is telling us. This is Job. And then in the ESV, Yahweh brings his sword, indicating his demise of this Behemoth. Christ's sword comes from out of his mouth to slay him. It's what it says in Job 40:19 regarding Behemoth. He is first in the works of God. Let him who made him, who created him, Yahweh, bring near his sword. So Behemoth is going to perish with a sword, just like the sword that proceeded out of Christ on his white horse. Now I encourage you to take the time, as it says here, read all of Job 40. It's describing a land-based dinosaur with this Behemoth, right, that looks kind of like this. And that is the creature, guys. That is the scarlet-colored beast, the creature, the beast that comes out of the abyss that fills the Antichrist is Behemoth. Okay, if he were to take on a form of a man, he was Azazel. All right. So, guys, I will post a link to the notes. I'll make them available on Google Drive. Okay. And this is a long series we've been saying. I knew Trump was the Antichrist in 2017. That's 7 years ago. And then went through the process of proving it. So we have a whole playlist. If you're hearing me new and you don't know the message or anything, we got a whole playlist, lots of videos. Trump is the Antichrist. This is going to be part of that. Maybe what we'll do is provide a link to that whole playlist. This will be part of it. All right, guys. So the voice came out of heaven and from the throne saying, "It is done."